Hello and welcome to another episode of Astro Bloom Podcast. My name is Vanya Banks and I am an astrologer, alchemist, and embodiment guide. So today I really want to talk about eclipse season. So we're talking about eclipse season early 2026, so February and March. And if you've listened to my previous episode about the astrology of 2026, you'll know that February is an incredibly potent month. And this is where I really want to dive in to the archetypes that are coming through, what's being asked of you, how this is going to impact you, and how to actually move through this energy and not be a victim. First of all, there's a lot of, I find misinformation around eclipses out there because there's a lot of kind of this doom and gloom energy that makes people feel very disempowered, like things are happening to them. They have no control over what's happening. And I just want to say that is like complete BS. Of course, eclipses do bring sudden awakenings. They do bring sudden shifts. They do bring changes in perspective or changes in your life, or people come in and out of your life during these times. But the whole goal of eclipses is to accelerate your growth. And so if you are moving through this season with a certain level of awareness of patterns that might be coming up for you to notice and evolve past, then you really have nothing to be afraid of. So first of all, I'm recording this on February 4th. We just had the Leo full moon on February 1st. And even though this Leo full moon was not an eclipse, it opened the eclipse portal because the following lunation, which is the opposite sign of Leo, is an eclipse. It's a new moon eclipse in Aquarius, and it's happening on February 17th. Some other key dates this month. We have Saturn and Neptune meeting in the first degree of Aries on February 14th, just days before that. They have not met since 1989 when they were in Capricorn, but more importantly, they have not met in Aries in over 1,000 years. So this is a huge collective shift. And it's happening that's really asking us to embody our truth, to embody our dreams. Like our dreams cannot actually just be lived as a vision, as an ideal anymore. We're being asked to embody it. We're being asked to lead from courage. And there's just all of this air and fire energy coming in. So after we have the Saturn and Neptune meeting, we have the Aquarius eclipse, which is the first one that's happened since 2018. We then have one of the final eclipses on the Virgo and Pisces axis happening on March 3rd, and this is a full moon eclipse in Virgo. So new moon eclipses are new beginnings. Full moon eclipses are completions, culminations, things come to light, right? And we have been working with that energy of Virgo and Pisces since beginning of January 2025, and even we had a little bit of this energy already coming through at the end of 2024. So we're kind of like in this transitionary phase, this eclipse season between what we have been learning since 2025 around our boundaries, our tendency to take on perhaps things that are not our own to help save or martyr people, to live in illusion, delusion, fantasy, and to be grounded in reality and like what's actually in front of us and what we can see and what we can embody. And so backtracking, when I was preparing for this episode, I pulled a tarot card. And the tarot card I pulled for our first eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th was actually the Hermit reversed. And I think it's such a potent message that I've been feeling really personally in my own life around this axis of Leo and Aquarius that asks us, where are you hiding? Right? Where are you still hiding? Where are you not allowing your light to shine? Because Leo is about the self. And Leo is this energy of like taking up space. It's ruled by the sun. It's about shining your light. It's about being seen and trusting that when we shine our light, when we offer unique gifts to the world, we find places where we belong and where people see us. And we find that belonging in that community that respects us and sees us for our authentic selves. The Hermit is this, especially reversed, it for me really landed uncomfortably close to home because I feel like lately I have been hiding a little bit, hiding energetically from the camera, from visibility, from being fully seen. There's been this pattern in my life, especially around, sometimes in my business and in my romantic connections, where it's not that I don't want connection, it's not that I don't want the intimacy, but it's that somewhere inside of me, a long time ago, I learned that being seen still feels like the prelude to being abandoned or being rejected or being left. And I think so many of us live with that kind of wounding. And so this this energy of this Leo and Aquarius axis that we are working with for majority of this month is asking us, like, where are we still not allowing ourselves to be seen? So basically the only way, and this is where that new moon eclipse in Aquarius comes in, because Aquarius is the polar opposite of Leo, and they cannot exist with one without the other. It's the yin and the yang. So Aquarius is about the other. It's about belonging. It's about community. It's about connection. And so the Hermit reversed, when we talk about this axis and this new beginning and this initiation with Aquarius, is it's not asking us to perform, but it's asking us to stop disappearing in the crowd. Because what also happens with new moon eclipses, where the sun and the moon meet in the same sign, and in this case, the north node is really close to that sign as well. What happens is we also see these shadows emerge around that sign. And the shadows of Aquarius are being so concerned with community, connection, that we actually lean into like group ideals. We maybe lose our sense of personal identity. We completely dissolve our ego in an effort to be equal to everyone else, to be one of something bigger. And so it's almost like this like blending that can happen, right? Because Aquarius wants to be part of the collective. And so in which way have we hidden our light or not wanted to take up space or not allowed ourselves to be seen because we're afraid of feeling like we're better than everyone else, or like we're really avoiding that expression of Leo that says, look at me, see me. And amidst all of this, this is fear-based self-protection, right? And amidst all of this, we are ending the snake year, right? 2025 was the year of the snake in the Chinese zodiac. And so the snake has been teaching us where we are still clinging onto old skin, old identities, old beliefs, old ways of showing up that are disempowering. And as we enter this new moon eclipse, this is the new moon that begins the lunar year, the Chinese year, the year of the fire horse. And with that, we are asked to burn and to release that last skin, the one that clung the longest. And perhaps this is that belief that if I show my new skin, right, or the skin that's been underneath all of the facades or all of the ways that I've hid my true self, I'll be alone, right? I won't be accepted. I won't belong. So the skin is the pattern. It's the meaning that you make out of what has been being asked, what is being asked to be released. So that first eclipse, there's this shadow that emerges of blending in. Aquarius shadow is also of course, the gifts, first of all, let's talk about the gifts of Aquarius. The gifts of Aquarius are rebellion, right? Um, they are standing for something. They are breaking through the mold of conformity, individuation. But the get or the shadows can be disembodiment, too much distance, being too intellectual, too logical, too much belonging to everyone instead of showing up as someone. Because Aquarius, in its highest expression, does remind us of our sameness, of our shared humanity. And that's why we're seeing a lot of these themes arising in the collective right now. Realizations that all of us are impacted by certain, political issues and issues of injustice. It reminds us of that shared humanity. But when we hide inside the crowd, we also lose the truth of our heart because even though we come from the same place, we are not the same. Our dreams are different, our likes and dislikes are different, our gifts are different, and that's a gift. And that is where that highest expression of Aquarius comes in because it is correctly balanced with the Leo, being seen for your unique self. So individuality doesn't cancel belonging. You don't have to disappear to stay connected. These are all themes that we're being asked to look at with that first eclipse. And, with that first eclipse, we have that energy of Saturn and Neptune meeting up in the first degree of Aries. And it's all about feeling the fear and leaning towards that anyway, because both Aries and Leo and Aquarius, this is all air and fire. It's about movement. Aries, particularly, teaches us that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's letting the fear exist without letting it choose for you. So, where are you still leading from fear? Is what the energy of February asks you. And especially with that first degree of Aries being initiated, we want to look at where this is coming up for us in our charts because this is where that new beginning is being initiated for you. And we also want to look at where Aquarius is in our charts and later on Virgo, because something is being ignited here. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, especially if we're speaking about that Aries energy, that initiation that's happening around the same time. So there's something about like being brave enough to individuate, to be ourselves, to lead with courage, to take the next step without knowing maybe what the path is and how we move forward. So we move then from fire and air into a Pisces season later in February, and we have our second eclipse, which is the Virgo lunar eclipse. So it's a full moon eclipse. And we still have a lot of outer planets in fire and air here, but the energy of the lunation is a bit more grounding, right? It's a bit more about feeling. And actually, the card I pulled for this was the Lover's card. And it makes a lot of sense because for this eclipse, we have the ruler of Virgo, Mercury, lining up with Venus in Pisces. There's a big stack of planets in Pisces opposing the moon and opposing the South Node in Virgo. And so there's just a lot of energy around like sensitivity, permeability, merging, emotion, allowing ourselves to open through the heart, to connect, right? To unite. At the same time, Neptune and Saturn had just transitioned out of Pisces and into Aries. And so this is about actualizing the dream, right? The visions that we have been leaning into. And it's about dreaming with boundaries. It's about merging with boundaries. And the Mars and the North Node also meet. Mars is in the early degrees of Pisces here. And this is about courage guided by intuition, not force. So it's about being led forward by feeling, especially because Mars is the ruler of Aries, where we have those two planets, Saturn and Neptune, freshly in Aries. So it's like that new beginning that you're being invited to step towards courageously is not going to be guided by sudden, declarations or whatever. Like it's going to be guided more by intuition. It's going to be guided more by feeling. And this energy, because there's so much Pisces there, and we've been learning a lot about trust versus surrender, control. Trust and surrender versus control, and like needing to have a plan, needing to know all of the things and how they're going to work out, and needing to have proof in the pudding, right? We've been learning this balance, and we've been learning the balance between discernment and allowing ourselves to surrender and be open. And so Pisces is that last sign of the zodiac. It wants to merge. It wants to feel connected to the divine, to others, to itself. And because Venus is conjunct Mercury here, there's conversations of the heart being illuminated. There's relationships being illuminated. And this energy is asking you to let yourself merge without losing yourself. This is about allowing for connection without armoring, but with healthy discernment. Because with that moon next to the South Node in Virgo as well, and this being a full moon eclipse, this is like things coming to light, right? Illumination. Cycles ending, doors closing in some ways. And so in Virgo, like we're letting go of really black or white thinking. We're really leaning into the gifts of discernment led through like healthy emotional intelligence. We're learning to hold nuance, ambiguity better. We're learning how to move past perhaps some shadow expressions of Virgo, which are like not being able to see the forest for the trees, getting really caught up in like the tiny details, and learning to trust the unseen, moving into that North Node of Pisces. But Virgo is really that grounding energy that we need at this time of year too, especially with all of the air and the fire and all of the water that comes in with Pisces. It's like, how do we ground this into our life? Like what we have learned about our boundaries, about our discernment, about the ability to merge without losing oneself. How do we actually practice this in real life? Virgo is earth, so it wants to see this embodied. So whatever patterns are coming up for you around this time, how do you learn from them? How do you embody them? How do you put them into practice? So a lot of what this eclipse season is bringing to us is leading with the heart, experimenting with courage, opening without knowing the outcome, and trusting that leaning towards the fear is where the initiation and where the growth happens. So this eclipse season isn't asking us to be fearless, but it's asking us to be visible even if it's scary, even if those old stories come up where we think that being visible means being left or being rejected or not belonging. So I invite you to journal on some of these topics that I just covered, right? So maybe reflecting on where you might be hiding, not necessarily because you're seeking solitude, but because you're fearing rejection. What would it look like to stay open to possibility, to the unknown, without demanding an outcome, whether that is in your life, with a certain situation, a relationship, whatever it might be? And then what does it look like for you to lead with courage in your life? Where in your chart, is that Aries conjunction happening for you? Like, where's this new beginning happening? Where we are being asked to kind of take the next step without knowing the outcome, right? Aries is instinct. So it wants to leap forward instinctually. It wants to leap forward instinctually, be seen, Leo, find belonging through those actions, through that fire, Aquarius, and have healthy boundaries while allowing oneself to merge and to connect, Virgo, Pisces. I hope you enjoyed this brief eclipse update. If you'd like to learn more, or if you would like to work with me continually through the seasons, which is something that I really, really practice and embody. Um, Astrology is a very powerful tool because it teaches us about the energetic shifts throughout the year, throughout our seasons that also live within our bodies. I am launching the Earth and Sky Collective on the spring equinox. And this is going to be a very well-rounded collective online where we are meeting on the equinoxes and the solstices virtually for gathering, ritual, astrology, all these updates. But what I'm also building into the Earth and Sky Collective is my astrology basics course, which is Lunar Astrology Foundations. It teaches you all about the planets, the signs, the aspects, the archetypes, how to read transits. So this is normally a standalone course. It's worth over $5,000. And there's a whole other library too, where we have tools and practices like breathwork, meditation, self-care, soon to come yoga as well, based on your lunar sign that you're going to be able to tap into throughout the year. So it's a yearly membership that works with the astrological season and really allows us to tap into the different energies of our chart so that we can unfold, be, like move deeper towards our truth, right? Spiral more towards self, see ourselves with new eyes. Every season, at every turn, we dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And so we become more intimate with our soul, with what it wants, with what it needs, with what we are here to learn, and with the patterns that we are trying to release. So if you'd like to get VIP access to that, I'm going to put a link in the show notes where you can sign up. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, let me know. Happy eclipse season.